Greetings everybody, Sive Morten here with the Forex Peace Army.com. Let's take a look again on the gold market. So, speaking in two words, the gold market actually was able to hold the pressure from the Fed. So we haven't seen any drop below the previous lows, just a reasonable pullback has happened. On the words of the Jerome Powell, who said that actually the 25 base point cut is not granted on December. So that was a bit surprising statement from the Fed. It's probably the only surprising thing that he said. But it was enough just to make them pressure on assets, because investors mostly have priced in already this 25 base point rate cut on the next meeting. So, but at the same time, we see that gold was able to stay above the major conference support, and we're still watching for a possible reaction on this area because it is quietly suitable for possible upward reaction. So because this is strong support, daily oversold, we have some preparation of the price for a possible bounce here. Because if you remember on the fall time frame chart, we already talked about the butterfly here has been formed, the minimum extension target has been reached. So market in general has made some preparation for possible upward reaction here on the gold and the continuation of the existing momentum. That's what we are watching for. But recent drop based on due to the Fed meeting, well, it's a bit how to better to call it. It's just shake a bit this bullish context. Let's make it a bit more depressed. So from that standpoint of view, it's necessary to see what will happen next. So whether market will be stubborn enough to stay above this area and start forming something like that will point on the further upward reaction, or we could get some still downward continuation. Speaking generally, on the fall time frame chart, what else we have? Actually, some divergence you could see right in the conference support on the daily chart, which is also good. Potentially, guys, we could suggest here a kind of the downside pattern, such as we did today on the euro currency, for example, like this. So theoretical shape, it seems possible here, right? But at the same time, it absolutely doesn't agree with the overall context that we have, because market already has reached the important support. It doesn't need any other targets that stand below. This first moment. Second, the butterfly is already completed here. And the new butterfly, it absolutely doesn't fit the overall idea of the momentum trade right at this point. So it means that here our task is relatively simple. We just need to control the price performance that should stand above this bottom. Any other type of action, if we start dropping market down below this area, it will not it will not correspond to the idea of the bounce here. So market has to stay above these lows to keep a possible chance of on the upward performance here intact. Particularly on the fall market, on the 4-hour chart, here what we could keep an eye on, market stands relatively close to the MACD predictor line. So here we haven't got any grabber, but it might be formed today and tomorrow's session. If we will get any, that will be great assistance and great additional factor in favor of the possible upward action. Because if grabber will be formed, it will suggest taking out of the stop, which means starting of the upward action. On some later stage, we also could consider a kind of the hand shoulders type of action here as well, right? So it might be shoulder, head, and another arm here with the possible potential for the upward action. But that might happen only if everything will go as it should. So for us, the major task now is to be sure that market stands stable above these lows and it's preparing something bullish. That's what we need to keep an eye on. Currently, since the drop has happened, we do not see something really interesting. So we see that market has dropped precisely to the same lows as it was formed there, around 39.17, 39.15 area shows the bounce. Now it's returning right back down. So this is actually happening on the bottom of the potential head, right, of this potential shortest pattern. And since we're standing some at the beginning of this trade, overall price action might be a bit tricky, and it would be better to not act too early, just to not get lost in the wrong direction. So if you have taken position on this drop on some confidence support area or 618 area that we discussed yesterday, you could just keep these positions with the existing stop orders. And if everything goes well, we should get some upward continuation right from here. For others, if you haven't taken position yet, you could wait a bit and see what will happen next. Maybe market will show and start forming some additional price action that we could recognize. I do not know. Maybe butterfly here starts to form with the upward continuation, right? So once we will see clear signs that market is holding these existing lows and remains above these lows, that will be something that might be used. Now market just need to come down a bit the bearish momentum that has been formed recently. Probably it takes today's session, and maybe tomorrow we will see something else. So in current circumstances, the bottom line, I would say that overall bullish context and possible upside reaction is still might be forming. So this context is valid, but the price action is a bit tricky and the early stage of this trade, and it could take a bit more time to recognize what particular market is forming right on the bottom. So that and towards what we have from the gold for now. At least currently, I wouldn't consider taking the new shorts just because market stands on a strong confidence support in daily reversal. So it's definitely not for new shorts. For the new long position, as I said, well, you could act actually in advance. You could try to take position somewhere right now, but it will just be a bit more risky. So just to get a bit more confidence with the clear signs and recognizing some particular patterns that are forming, it might be a bit safer. That's actually all that I would like to say currently. See you tomorrow.